Saturday Social is powered by EA Sports FIFA 23 with PlayStation.
What a player this guy is, by the way. Erling Haaland. What is going on? Third consecutive Premier League home hat-trick against Man United on Sunday. Were you watching, Joe?
I caught a bit of it. I
bet he did. Turned it off fuming, he was. 14 goals in his first 8 Premier League games. In fact, we can have a look at a graphic now which illustrates just how good he is and the level that he's been playing at, because these stats, I'm going to call them, I mean, they're absolutely ridiculous. So this is his current rate. And now if he plays every minute in the Premier League scoring at the current rate he's doing at the minute, he will score 71 Premier League goals. If he plays in all competitions at the current scoring rate, he'll score 95. And listen to this. If he plays every single minute in every competition that Man City are in, he'll score 101 goals. Now, for context, Messi has the record with 73 goals in all comps in 2011-12. And I worked out as well that if he does score that goal, carry on with that goal scoring rate, he'll break Shearer's record in 4 years. I mean, it's just utterly ridiculous. So it got us talking and it got us thinking. We're going to set our guests a little challenge. So do you want to explain what we're doing here, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. We asked our guests to go away and choose their 10 greatest goal scorers of the modern era. Not strikers, goal scorers.
Okay.
I made that very, very clear because we've got the likes of Lionel Messi in there. For context as well, we've not included the likes of Pele, Maradona, just because kind of before our time as well, wasn't it? Didn't really get to see them in the flesh. We're then going to be asking our guests to place their 10 greatest goal scorers in order on the board, see where the differences are, and at the end of it, we're going to see where Erling Haaland sits amongst that list, predicting at the end of his career, obviously, where you would put him. We can see now the lists you've come up with in no particular order. This is, as you can see, there's 8 agreements in there. Ronaldo, Cristiano, Lionel Messi, Henry, Lewandowski, Shearer, Suarez, Kane, all agreed upon.
Okay.
But there are 2 differentials. Spencer, you went for Zlatan and Sergio Aguero. James, you went for Mohamed Salah and Didier Drogba.
Okay, so they are the
strong lists.
Yeah, that is a strong list. I mean, to be honest, first thing I'll say, I don't think you can argue with any players. And to be fair to the guests, this is very difficult.
Very
choosing
difficult
in order because it's goal scorers, not strikers.
Although the lack of Benzema is driving me insane.
Understood and noted for the 5th time.
Joey's angry, aren't you?
I just can't believe
so let's
that.
start by looking at, again, that was in no particular order, the ones that you disagreed on. So Zlatan and Drogba. Let's start by talking about them because only one of you had Zlatan, only one of you had Drogba. Why Zlatan, Spencer?
I mean, he is the perfect striker in many ways. I think he can do everything. He's played in multiple countries, multiple clubs, won titles pretty much wherever he's gone. Very long career as well, still going, still scoring goals. So, yeah, when I was putting this list together, there's easily like 15 or 20 names, isn't there? Like, there's a big... And people you've put in were just off for me. I'm sure it's the other way around. But, yeah, I had to include him in it.
Interestingly, James, only 3 of those players have scored more club goals than Zlatan. Obviously, we know he's played, still playing. It's a very old age, of course. Experienced age, I should say. So why is he not in your list, is what I'm getting at.
So I had a couple of things when I was trying to put this together, and there was obviously longevity in goals is one, but if we just did that, it would just be a list of goal scorers. The other thing that I was thinking about was if I need a goal, if I'm playing in a final and I've got to pick a player to score a goal in terms of great goal scorers, and that's why Drogba went on my list. I mean, let alone didn't he stop a war, which I think is a good thing to say and important to say.
Defence as well.
10 goals in 10 finals.
So you're talking about the big game players, which I think we had this debate last week, didn't we, about Drogba v Henry with Chelsea Rory and Robbie Lyle, and they were saying, even Robbie was saying, obviously Henry he puts as a better player, but big game player Drogba was the guy.
Because his record
in 10 finals.
His record not actually that exceptional in the Premier League.
No, you're right, and I think that's why these lists are very, very personal.
Yeah.
And so I understand if you want to go that road with Zlatan, then fine. But I don't really remember the Zlatan finals. Whereas if it's a final, I need a player to score me a goal, to lead the team.
Yeah.
Think of the Champions League final as well.
Yeah.
Carry them on his back.
I will just say, I'll be honest, you could call it an oversight. I didn't think about Drogba when I did this list.
Which I get
and
when
also,
it's about numbers, I get that.
You might be making a good point on the finals thing, but that wasn't the brief. Who's going to score in a final? It was best goal scorers.
It's greatest.
You got for him at 7.
Let's put where you put him. So just to clarify, Spencer is going to have the first tier nearer the numbers, and you'll have the second row nearest the numbers. So he's the 10th best for you. Zlatan at number 7. Okay. Should we do the other differential, Joe?
He wasn't even in your list, and Spencer's got him at 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look, I get it. With Zlatan, I kind of maybe it's the ego that kind of pushed him out for me. And again, when in all these amazing teams that he's played for, and all the leagues that he's won, I can't remember him being the guy. Someone's going to tell me this, but him being the guy in a final. And for me, that was a big part of this. Is like when you need a guy to get you a goal, Is it Zlatan?
He shouldn't even be on this list because this is humans, not lions.
Come on then, let's go next one. Aguero versus Salah. It's another differential between the two of you.
I have to admit, Salah was on my list until last minute. I can't argue with the pick. I think he maybe just needed a couple years on his CV for me. That's the only thing.
So he wasn't in my list, right? And I had 12 or 13. And then I was like, oh no, Salah.
Yeah.
I've got to put Salah in there. I think there's, like, in terms of recency bias at times, I'm always I get recency bias and then I think, okay, hang on, calm down. And Salah has been outrageous for years. For years. And so...
for 4 years?
Yeah, and
4 years?
At his best, if you need a goal, give him the ball, I think you've got a chance. I know I'm going to keep saying that throughout this, but that was a big part of it for me. Has got the longevity, he'll come good, he'll continue to score goals. Has that selfishness about him as well, and that's why I then sort of chucked him in, and actually spoiler alert, I chucked Rooney out. Because I was like, I can't take you out, I took Rooney out.
So you replaced Rooney with Mo Salah?
I think I did, yeah.
Where have you got him? How high?
I've got him here, I think.
Okay.
Nine.
That's where I've got Sergio as well. Look at them, little friends
You
in there.
haven't got Sergio Aguero. Why have you gone for Sergio?
Why wouldn't you go for Sergio?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just scored so many goals. He just came to the Premier League and dominated it. Huge part of the Man City revolution, or their kind of rise to fame. I have to have him in there. I'm a big fan of Aguero's. I think he would have probably had a couple more years of goals as well in him if he hadn't had to cut it short at Barcelona, which is a shame. But Salah just off for me.
Is Haaland gonna make Aguero's record look pretty meek?
But is he
May
going
well
to do that
do.
for everyone? We're going to decide that at the end.
We're going to decide that at the end. Let's not jump it.
It's Man City though, where you're dominating games every single time.
Talking about Aguero, talking about goal scorers, only 5 players on this list have got more goals than Aguero. People forget how many goals, club goals, Sergio Aguero scored.
Was there only 3 more than Zlatan, you said, as well?
Yeah.
Zlatan, only
Zlatan.
3 players
Goals.
have got more club goals than Zlatan,
Yeah,
and only
3.
5 have got more than Aguero. So that's
He's
what
not
we've got
even
with so
in his
far.
top 10.
No, he's not in his top 10, no. Let's next go on. We'll do these in random order now. So just to clarify, they've agreed on all of the remaining 8 players, but not necessarily in the same order.
Okay.
So let's just pick Thierry Henry.
Let's get you to both place Thierry Henry at the same time. We'll go in 3, 2, 1. Place him up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Huge
differential.
That's
Spencer,
absurd.
you've got him as 10.
Yeah.
Why
So-
10?
It could be. I could happily put him higher. It's not like a biggie. But for me, I was really fixated on goals and the amount of goals they scored. And Henry obviously did score a heck of a lot of goals in successive Premier League seasons. But I think you look at him in his later career. He went to Barcelona, and there's other players that were dominating the goal scoring. He was still fantastic for them. Don't get me wrong. If you're talking about talent, as a footballer, he would be right up there for me. Right up there. I love Henry. I'm a massive Henry fan. But I'm just thinking about someone that is going to put the ball in the back of the net multiple times, as much as he possibly can. And I think the guys I've got ahead of him just edged him for me.
So you've got Aguero ahead of Henry. So you think he was the better striker of the two?
Striker, yeah, I do, because I think Henry, you could play him out on the left or on the right if you really wanted to. I know he was a striker, but he started as a winger, didn't he, in his earlier days?
We're talking goal scorers now.
Yeah, we're talking goal scorers, but that's why I think he can't do anything else. These guys are goal scorers. That's what they do. And Henry's a multifaceted player. But this is very, it's a stitch up. This game, it's a stitch up.
Yeah.
Stitch up.
You've got him so much higher, Jeff.
Yeah, again, it was about, who do I want, who would I pick in my team if they're all lined up? And I just kept going. There's only 3 players ahead of him for me. In the Premier League, he's still number 1 for me. And his goal to minute ratio is the 2nd best.
But you said earlier you were talking about
People forget that though with
big
Henry.
games and
People think about all the
finals.
other bits.
Yeah.
Big games and finals.
That's true, and there will be contradictions, definitely. But I think when you mix it all together, again, in terms of someone who's going to get you a goal, going to change the game, will pick up the ball and then dribble through players, score goals, unbelievable finish. He kind of has his own finish, doesn't he? Where he'd open his body up and put it in that corner. And you still see it now and you think that's an Henry finish. I just think he was just astoundingly good. And he sort of came on the scene and then we were like, oh, he's good. Oh, he's really good. Oh, my word. And that's what I had to have him for.
Okay.
Let's go to the next one. We've got Alan Shearer up next, I believe.
Shearer.
All-time record Premier League goal scorer, of course.
Doing the same time again?
Yeah, go on.
Sure.
Let's... Okay, so not huge.
Not massive
Not
disparity
huge disagreement.
Yeah.
So for me with Shearer, right, there's a few things to remember. And again, there will be contradictions here, but he had a lot of injuries, right? And continued to score goals. By the end of it, there wasn't a lot in those legs. Yet somehow he scored goal after goal after goal. Look at every record when you look at the Premier League. He's always at the top of it. The longevity is unbelievable.
Well.
And the thing that I would focus on, but a lot of people probably too young for this, but at Blackburn, I think he scored 112 goals in 3 years or something. At Blackburn, he was outrageous. And we both know we support teams that aren't just dominating with the best players all the time. And he dragged those teams and still scored so many goals for Newcastle, for Blackburn.
Listen, let's point one thing as well. We're talking about players that we both have on the list. So, yeah, there's a big gap in Henry, maybe not as big as Shearer, but we're still acknowledging these players. Slightly different rank, maybe. But I will say Blackburn, they kind of buy the league, let's not forget. Like, they had a very good team at that time. I know they were against the Man United of the world, but it wasn't like Blackburn as we think of them now. That was a very different Blackburn. But Newcastle, certainly. Newcastle had a good team for a patch of his time there in their Champions League era, Bobby Robson. But they also had other teams that weren't quite as good, and he was still scoring goals. So, yes, I know he's lower than James is, but I'm still a massive Shearer fanboy here, and I think he's the best.
Scored every type of goal as well, as I would say. Headers, volleys, like left foot, right foot. Such a range of goals. Top all-time Premier League scorer, 3 golden boots as well. Next up, Lewandowski. You know, I'm a massive fan of Lewandowski, Joe. And look at the start to Barcelona. Look how Bayern Munich are doing without him. I mean, I just love this player. Where have you got him in your list?
I have him here.
Seventh, Lewandowski.
James, Lewandowski, right, there's only 2 players, and I think we can all guess who the 2 players are, who have got more club goals than Robert Lewandowski. His goals-to-game ratio is phenomenal. He does it in the big games. He's won all sorts of trophies individually
Look what he's
and
done
collectively. Why is he that low for you? Sorry, there's a fly in me.
Why is he that low for me? The reason he's that low for me is because...
He didn't play in the Premier League.
No, but I think... No, what was it? 334 goals in 374 games in 7 years for Bayern Munich. He's amazing. They're all amazing, right? But I think at Bayern Munich, if you ask Bayern Munich fans, a lot of them were actually quite pleased to see him go. People will think that's a mad thing to say.
Though. Have you seen his TikTok?
Yes, exactly. For that alone, he should be lower.
TikToks.
I just think maybe it's the QPR fan in me talking, but at Bayern Munich, when you're so dominant, when those teams are so dominant, I expect you to score goals. That's why I put Shearer, and he's potent, he's amazing, he's unbelievable, but that's why Shearer is above him for me, because when you're doing it, when you're not in the penalty box for the entirety of the game, it's different.
He's won 8 league golden boots, 3rd in the all-time Champions League goals, 3rd in the all-time club goals.
Robbed
I
of
can't
Ballon d'Or
believe
as
he's
well.
that low.
Yes,
I totally agree with that.
Criminal.
But for Bayern Munich dominate every single year.
He's doing it at Barca as well, though. He's doing it every club he's been at.
It's Barcelona. Again, another
I think
huge
7 is low.
club. Shearer.
Personally, I think 7 is low for him. You've got him at 4, Spence.
Yeah.
Should we go to the next player then? Because time is a bit of the essence. So, who have we got next? Suarez next.
Yep, Luis Suarez.
Okay. I've got him in this
Spence, you
little
go.
gap there. Sitting in 6th for me. Not far off.
Not too far off. Not too far off. I mean, surely talent-wise, Luis Suarez is up there. I think he's, for a lot of people, he's maybe like talent-wise, it's like Messi, Ronaldo, and then we're talking in that Suarez.
Yeah, the goals are there, but also like, you know, the ability to drag a team.
Yeah.
I remember watching him and thinking he was playing in fast forward. I couldn't understand how he was moving. It's so tenacious as well.
Yeah.
So overall, a better player than Shearer, and that's why he was above him for me.
Okay.
Absolutely fine with that. We're
Okay,
very
next
close
up we've got
agreed.
Harry Kane.
Wow.
So you both put Harry Kane in your top 10. Where does he go for you?
I
in
reckon
terms
he's
of
got him 8th.
greatest
You got him
ever?
8th? Yeah.
Ooh,
got
bit
him
of disparity here.
So we've got Kane over Benzema.
Yeah, I know.
You've got him as 5th, Spence. Go on, explain. Is this because it's an all-round game?
Well, I mean, listen, it's not quite the same logic, but some of the logic James was using on Shearer you could apply to Kane. Tottenham have probably been a bit better than the Newcastle team were at the time, but it's not been the best team in the league ever. Not even necessarily the top 4 teams for many of Kane's years. Sorry about that.
And the style of play has been pretty bad
but
at
he's just
times.
scored goals
Yeah.
constantly. And I think he probably will get Shearer's record as long as he stays injury-free. I mean, there's not a lot between them, to be honest. Not a lot between all of these guys. But I just am a massive Kane fanboy. Maybe I am being a little bit patriotic there as well. Like I did still put Lewandowski ahead of him, so I know that's always a debate. And I think Lewandowski maybe just edges it. But I'm a big Kane fan.
Yeah, Jimbo, does the lack of trophies hold him back?
Yeah, and I mean, and that's ridiculous in a list like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It shouldn't, sorry, I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying,
'cause
people talk about
Shearer's
trophies a lot, and I think sometimes you should value who they're playing for, and you're right. Also, creativity from him as well. I don't think that's a bad shout, putting him 5th, to be honest. And I think as time goes on, people will talk about him less and less because you do, and they'll talk about him more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, nice one.
So you've got the same top 3, which is interesting, and they're
Yeah.
3 huge players: R9, Messi, and Ronaldo.
Do R9 first, shall we?
So
because I'm guessing he's going to be in the 3 slots.
Yeah, he's for me.
Yeah, he's 3. It's amazing. That's
Oh,
so
9.
interesting. We both picked him.
Becomes R3, yeah.
What a player.
What a player. I think it's, probably one of the big reasons here is the age that James and I both are and the era we grew up in. It's like the 98 World Cup and then 2002 and just how good he was. Talking about injuries, he had very significant injuries.
Yeah.
I was watching a friend of mine he's a physio at football teams and he makes videos about it. He says that I think he's one of the only footballers, I can't remember the actual injury he has, it was like his Achilles or something or whatever it was. Very rarely comes back from it once. He came back from it twice.
Yeah, in the gap between the 98 World Cup, where people talk about Brazil's disappointing tournament, they still got to the final, by the way, and he had all that issues with the final. Then he was then out for 2 years, I believe. He had ankle and knee problems. Played in the 2002 World Cup. People didn't even know he'd be fit for. Won the Golden Boot and the tournament. It was outrageous.
With a terrible haircut as well.
He did,
you have to allow for that.
Yeah.
It's that 96-97 season. He was at Barcelona. 47 goals in 49 games or something like that.
Best player ever rounding the keeper.
Oh,
Loved it, didn't he?
Step over around the
keeper.
both feet as
But
well.
also, I feel like, again, with Haaland, I don't think Haaland would drop deep, pick up the ball, beat 5 players and score.
No.
He could do that.
Okay.
So top 2.
Top 2. All right. Which one are we
Just
going
want to say, before they all come for me, this isn't the Messi versus Ronaldo debate.
Well, it looks
about
like
who's
it
the
is.
better player. This is about goal scoring.
Okay.
Come for me then.
Yeah, for
Fine,
goal
don't worry
scoring
about
for
it.
me. Should we put them both?
Yeah,
Just put them
go
on
for
the see what they did. Will they agree or will they disagree, Joe?
Oh, great
Great for the
entertainment.
content.
It's great content.
Who do we go with
It's
first?
great content, isn't it?
Thank you. Spencer, you've
yeah.
gone with Ronaldo as your number 1 goal scorer of the modern era.
That's nearly
What
falling
era?
off. It's such a bad shout.
Why Ronaldo over Messi? Go on.
Well, there's not a lot to choose between them, but we're talking about this type of goals you can score.
Okay.
Now, is there a goal that Messi can score that Ronaldo can't? Yes, probably. Sort of talking about that Maradona-like dribble through players. Yes, Ronaldo's in his younger years was known for his flair, but not in the same way of taking on multiple players. But I think there's a load of goals Ronaldo can score that Messi doesn't score. Particularly headers as well, but not just that. Talking about things like the overhead kicks. I don't think Messi's got that in his locker. We don't see it in the same propensity as we do with Cristiano Ronaldo. I still think he's amazing. I think he's unbelievable. I think he's a freak. But talking about goal scorers, to use James's sort of analogy, if I have to score a goal in a game, and we talk about their prime, I'm sticking Ronaldo in over Messi.
James.
Lionel Messi it doesn't need to score those goals because he's 5 seconds ahead in his head.
There we go. Just thumbs up like that.
Wow. All right.
Finally, we did task you with Erling Haaland, where he would rank. Now, how are we doing this? Because obviously he's still young.
Well, obviously, by the time, let's say he's hung up his boots.
Okay,
We're
where you think he'll
predicting a
rank?
long way in the future. This is real
So
prediction
it's
territory.
a question of whether we're predicting what he'll do or whether he continues to do what he does. Because if he continues to do what he does, he'll be here. that's just a fact. He'll be off the screen. He'll be up here.
Yeah.
It'll be statistically, we just see the numbers, what he'll do. He'll be so much better than these guys. If he's at goal scoring, if we say
Yes,
that,
good point.
if he statistically keeps it up, will he do it? Because the thing about him is he's like a robot, right? He's like designed for football in every way, shape or form. He's got the physique, the pace, the power, everything, right? I do wonder, he has had some issues of injuries in his past that haven't come yet at Man City. We haven't really seen him rested at Man City yet. I'm sure that's going to have to happen at some point. I don't want to jinx it, and I'm a big fan of his. And I said when he signed for City, I think surely he's going to beat Shearer's record if he stays. I think he will be up here. I honestly think he'll be up here. And I'm just, for the culture, I'm just going to stick him there.
Wow, James, quickly.
I think that there will be a clamour after a couple of years for him to go, well, this is far too easy with Man City, go somewhere else. And he's going to have to go somewhere else and have to continue to do it, which he might do.
Oh, OK. There we go. So that's where they're putting Erling Haaland 4 and above 1, respectively. Really enjoyed that.
Great for the content, that's
that is their
Good thing about this is you can't come for me for like 10 years.
Yeah,